I, 29 male, am engaged to Tina, 26 female. We're getting married in August. We're planning on hyphenating our last names. She was an only child raised by her mom and grandparents, so her last name is a big deal to her. My surname is kind of like the Hispanic version of Smith. My grandparents already have great-grandkids with their surname. My fiancé and I visited my folks last weekend and talked about our plans for the wedding and the future. I mentioned the plan for our last name, and my parents said that they understood and were happy that we were using both. It's funny, but in proper names in our culture, the mother's surname is part of the children's name. So, using fake names here, my dad is Carlos Cornelius Rodriguez de Mancha, with Rodriguez being my grandfather's family name and Mancha being my grandma's. So my parents aren't unfamiliar with the concept. My brother, 22, was at the table with us, and he called me an idiot for bowing down to my fiancée and her family. I said he was out of line and that it wasn't any of his business. He doubled down and made some remarks I will not repeat. I have no idea how the little idiot got like this. So I said that I was marrying a beautiful, intelligent, sweet, caring woman who would have my back forever. She's going to be a professional, and we're going to have a great life together. I then asked him if he had ever touched a woman besides his little anime toys. He got really mad and started yelling at me and went to his room. My mom said that I went too far and that he's sensitive about not having a girlfriend or even a date. I said that with his way of speaking and behaving, I can understand why. He's been messaging me nonstop for days now about how I'm letting a woman ruin me and that he will not be attending my wedding. I told him I accepted his polite refusal of the RSVP and that I'd be putting him on the list of people who had expressed their regrets. He said I was an idiot for putting a woman over our family. Our parents are trying to stay out of it publicly, but have asked me to apologize so we can all pretend like he isn't a hateful little brat. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Don't let the angry little virgin disrespect your fiancé in marriage or harass women at the wedding. The day will be better without him there. I would have roasted him 100 times worse than what you did. Your parents are ridiculous for letting him speak to you like that. And 22 is not an age that he's too ignorant to know any better. Actually, it's super cool y'all are hyphenating your last names. Absolutely super common in Latin cultures. I have 2 last names too. A woman over family? Mixed with the enabling mother. The brother is such a loser. OP is about to marry such a wonderful woman and possibly have kids one day. That's going to be his family now. Meanwhile, the brother's probably just going to stay home with his parents and never move out and start his own family at the rate he's going. I'm surprised brother didn't call fiancé a female. It reeks of incel. I get your parents want an apology for the sake of peace. You don't need to give one, he does. Hold your ground. He has absolutely no right to crap on your happy relationship, especially when he can't get one of his own. Maybe that's even why he's so bothered. I too have a brother like this, and I very much do get it. LOL. I'm a woman in my late 50s, married to my husband in his early 60s. We've been married for 30-odd years. I have fulfilled the role of a traditional wife for much of our marriage, and I left paid work soon into our marriage. My husband is very successful in his business, and we live comfortably. All our children are adults now. My husband built his business from the ground up, and I was instrumental in its early success, which set it up to be what it is today. We were having lunch with our children when my son mentioned that his wife didn't want to be a traditional wife and do what I did to raise the kids. She raised concerns about how vulnerable a position it is and that she doesn't want to be solely dependent on him for money. He wanted me to talk to her to try to convince her by telling her how it worked out for me. I said I understood where she was coming from, and being a housewife is incredibly risky and vulnerable, especially if he leaves her and she's been out of the labor force for a while. He countered that it had worked for his father and me because I trusted him as my husband to provide for me, and why couldn't his wife do the same? I told him I have a meticulous record of all my contributions to the family business, recently digitized with the help of my daughter, so that if the worst ever happened, I wouldn't be relying on the mercy of a man to feed myself. I told him I had made my contingency plans over the years to minimize the risk of being a housewife and to compensate for my lack of pension and benefits I'd have had if I had not left the labor force. My son and husband were angry about this. Both said it showed a lack of trust. My husband especially feels I've had one foot out the door our entire marriage, and that my little escape plan included plans to shaft him of his business. I told him that he refers to it as his business rather than ours, which is why I kept those records, and won't be telling my daughter-in-law to do what she doesn't want to do. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. That's legal savviness right there. What do men obtain out of getting their wives to entirely throw their financial security into the wind? Barring separation and divorce, what happens to the wife if the husband dies unexpectedly? Does she throw herself in a fire? End up living in the streets because the husband provided, and now there's no provider and she has no savings, no plan? And what is this modern obsession for trad wives? In societies where it takes 2 salaries to care for a family, son is an idiot for not respecting his fiancée and wife's wishes. What if she wanted him to be a house husband? What gives him the right to demand of her what she won't give? The husband is an idiot for not understanding that protecting yourself from every possible hardship that has very practical ramifications has nothing to do with not trusting him. It has to do with self-preservation. Trad wife in your 20s to single mom in your 30s pipeline. I hope you talk to your daughter-in-law privately. She is very wise not to put herself at the mercy of your son. The crazy thing about the current trad wife movement is that men who say they want a trad wife often are actually saying they want someone to work full-time and pay 50-50 towards all household expenses, but then also take on all of the cooking, cleaning, and childcare. They want the advantages of traditional living and progress, none of the disadvantages, and apparently telling them that is bitterness. I, a teen male, have 2 dads. One died before I was born, Daddy. He was my non-bio father, and his best friend helped them to have me. She's my auntie Giga. My dad is my bio parent and my daddy's widower. And yeah, I say dad and daddy, and I still say daddy as a teen guy. Dad always referred to daddy as daddy to me, so I use it. A month before I was born, Daddy died. My dad changed completely that day. Because of where we live, even back then, my daddy still could be recognized on my birth certificate. It was a fight and involved the courts, but it happened. It was really uncommon back then, but he won the case thanks to Auntie Giga and other family members recognizing my 2 dads. I grew up always knowing about Daddy, and I always cherished the connection to him. I was always glad my dad won the right for both of them to be legally my parents. I was also always treated like their son, not just dad or not dads at Auntie Giga's. When I was a preschooler, my dad tried to date again, and he met Sam. They dated for about 3 months, but Dad wasn't ready and Sam didn't like what he saw. He felt jealous and insecure that he wasn't being brought in as another dad for me. They reconnected when I was a pre-tween and got married when I was a tween. My relationship with Sam is complicated and weird, and he wants to adopt me, but I don't want him to be my dad. I don't want to be adopted by him or have him take care of me if I become an orphan. He's always made it a point to bring up the fact Daddy wasn't my bio father in the first place, and how legally it was a miracle he's even on my birth certificate. I hate it. He's told me at least I'll know him, while Daddy's someone who's just saintly in my mind because I wasn't allowed to process only having one parent. Even though I know one parent raised me, but I still had 2. He just wasn't here. But I read the book he was putting together for me. He documented a lot of the parenting journey and the pregnancy until his death. He was so excited. He loved me so much. He wanted me so badly. On Father's Day, we had a big fight over adoption. Dad was out and Sam brought up the adoption to me. He told me he's tired of feeling like an outsider because I always treat him like Dad's spouse instead of my stepdad or my parent. I told him because that's what he is, and he has to learn to accept that. I told him nothing changed for me. He told me it was stupid because I love one stepdad so much more. I told him Daddy is more than just a stepdad. And then I told him I don't want him to adopt me ever, and bringing up Daddy isn't winning me over. I told him if anything, he's making me wish Dad had found someone better. Dad doesn't know what happened, but things have been tense since, and Sam said I went too far. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You are entitled to your feelings, and you're not required to accept your dad's husband as a father figure. I mean, legally, he is your stepdad, but if you don't feel he's a father figure for you, then he isn't. You need to talk to your dad and tell him everything. Does your dad know about what Sam is doing? Sam has no right to try and erase your daddy. regardless if you met him or not. He still is and always will be your daddy. Dad doesn't know. I always knew this would end their marriage, if he knew. I wanted my dad to be happy, so I kept quiet. But I guess that's not such a great idea anymore, especially if it eventually comes out in a more explosive way. OP, I get what you're saying, but you have to understand your dad loves who he thinks Sam is, and you know that Sam is not the guy. Tell him, especially before Sam twisted to make you look bad. Your dad needs to have all the relevant information to decide whether he's where he wants to be in his life. Right now, his husband is keeping some of that information from him, so your dad can't make an accurate choice for his life. He needs to know that Sam is pressuring you on this, so he can decide what he wants for his marriage. Giga should be brought into the loop too. For the love of God, this woman sacrificed for his dads to have him, and even fought to have both of them on the birth certificate. She can help set things straight and back up OP when he needs it. For context, I, 28 male, have a brother, 25, and he and his wife, 25 female, had twin boys about a year ago. The twins were unexpected, but even so, they transitioned relatively smoothly into parenthood. My brother and his wife could both take time away from work to raise the twins, while my sister-in-law could stay home. My brother had to return to work since they weren't expecting two babies. This and the fact that my sister-in-law wasn't working led to her eventually going back to work early, which left them with the issue of childcare. My brother and sister-in-law both work hard, and money's really tight for them, so they asked if I could take care of the babies a few days per week so they could cut down on cost. I'm fortunate enough to work from home most days and live alone, so I agreed because it felt like it was something I could do for them and bond with the babies. We've had this arrangement going on since my brother and sister-in-law returned to work, and it was fine at first. Work was relatively slow, and I was happy to spend time with my nephews. However, taking care of them has created a strain not only on myself, but also on my bank account since they're growing. My brother and sister-in-law often work late, meaning I'm feeding them dinner and taking care of them well into the evening. I haven't made much of a fuss and haven't charged them because of their financial situation. However, work has been getting more busy and has started to take more attention from me. I was also recently offered a higher position in the company. Still, it would require me to work fully in person. Today, while I was with my brother, I told him about my promotion and that I wouldn't be able to take care of the twins anymore. He freaked out and called me a terrible sister, saying that I was abandoning my family. I couldn't explain myself further because he left in a hurry, all angry. A couple hours ago, I received some really nasty messages from my sister-in-law and my parents saying that I'm incredibly selfish, disgusting, and shameful for choosing work over family. My parents aren't able to help as they live on the other side of the country and aren't mobile. If I stop helping with childcare, my brother's family will suffer, so now I'm rethinking my decisions. Please don't. He's incredibly selfish and ungrateful. He's had free childcare, and what? Expected you to give up your life dreams and future for his children? Those kids have two parents who decided to bring them into this world and are responsible for them, not you. You've done them an enormous favor, and they've decided to berate you and call you names. I'm disgusted with them. Please don't give up your promotion. Please don't let them browbeat you into being their slave labor. Not the idiot. Also, babies sleep a lot when they're young. OP might be able to get their work done during nap times, etc., but they gradually are more and more awake and start moving and getting into things. This is not a long-term solution. OP will not be able to continue working and looking after two busy toddlers. What a ridiculous situation. There are several idiots here, but OP ain't one. I received some really nasty messages from my sister-in-law and my parents saying that I'm extremely selfish, disgusting, and shameful for choosing work over family. Yet both the parents have done that. What is this logic? Why aren't the OP's parents sending money for childcare? If they care so much, they should put their money where their mouths are. My ex-wife and I got sick of each other about 10 years into our marriage. We had 3 kids by then, and we tried to make it work for their sake. It didn't work, and we divorced. I let her keep the house because it was the kids' home, and I wanted them to have some stability. I paid child support, and I paid for extracurriculars on top of that. I had to work a lot of hours to afford everything I was paying for, but I thought it was worth it. My mental health improved by being away from my ex, and the kids were taken care of. I tried to stay involved in their lives, but I couldn't support them financially or be there for every event. I made an effort to be there for all the important things, birthdays, Christmas, and holidays. I also made sure that my custody time was sacrosanct. I would turn off my work phone and be present when we were together. But no matter how I tried, they got resentful that I wasn't always there. It didn't matter to them that they only got to participate in these activities because I was sacrificing for them. They wanted me to pay for the extras, but somehow not work to pay for them. When they got to be older teens, I tried reasoning with them, but they argued that their mom worked and still managed to attend. We grew apart and they cut me out of their lives. I hated it. I still made sure they all graduated from college without debt. One of them got a scholarship, so I actually had a little money to give them. I rarely saw them after they left high school. It's been years since I last saw them. My ex passed away and I sold the house. It was mine as per our agreement. She could live there for free until she got remarried. She never did. The kids were expecting to get money from her estate, and they did. After everything was said and done, they each got about $31,000. What they didn't get was a share of the profit from the house. That will fund my retirement. I disliked my ex, but she was a good mom. I never wanted to get this money this way. I would have been fine letting her live there another 30 years. The kids came to my house to talk to me. They said that they were all counting on that money. I asked, why? What made them think that their mom was going to die on vacation at 53? They said that it wasn't fair that I got the house. I said I owned the house and that their mom didn't leave it to me. As part of our divorce, I owned the house and even paid the taxes and maintenance. They said that they could use some help. I said that none of them were really my problem anymore. I hadn't been invited to their homes or asked to participate in their weddings. I attended as a guest. They all think I'm being an idiot and stingy. I think they wouldn't have bothered talking to me except for the money. They said it wasn't fair that I got the house. You didn't get the house. You've been having the house the entire time. Not the idiot. You were not only having the house, you were maintaining the house and keeping it at a loss, so they didn't have to move, and they had a more comfortable life. You paid for their college education, which isn't a small feat in itself. While you weren't there, you made it possible for their mom to be there for them. I wonder if the ex-wife was truly honest about how their lifestyle was funded. It's very easy to afford and attend events when your biggest expenses and worries are covered, and the luxury of having money for college is as well. What light did she paint OP in? Doesn't change that OP's kids are entitled idiots. Oh, they totally suck. My mom tried this, mooched off my dad and claimed he didn't pay anything. My dad told me the truth and could prove it. I'm grateful my dad chose time with me over funding extras, but I don't blame OP for making what he believed was the best choice, because it sounds like the kids were spoiled brats who demanded extra. I didn't. My dad was nowhere near as rich as OP, but I knew where things stood.